Well, good morning. We are here, and it's good to have each one of you. And I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good weekend and had a good service on Sunday. Really good attendance Sunday morning. Was thankful for that. And I don't know. Don't think I'm too unusual as a pastor. Maybe I am, but I will just say this: if you, as a person sitting in any congregation, whether that is here or any other church, I promise you that your presence is an encouragement to your pastor, and your absence may be a discouragement to your pastor. And so that's just the way it rolls. We had a good group. I'm thankful for that. It's very encouraging. One of those, I needed that kind of a day and was thankful for that. Appreciate you guys being on here this morning as well. Our plans have changed, so at this point in time, I will more than likely be on the moment of truth until I am not. So we are at a point of whenever things happen and the baby is on its way, we will be heading that direction. So we'll see how all that plays out. At this point in time, we do not know when. Plans changed, and so we'll just simply adjust things here, and we'll see. You may or may not see me preaching. That still is all up in the air as well, and so we'll see. Appreciate some prayers for wisdom on just how to handle all that. And it's one of those things you sit there and uh, be present while someone else is filling in for your pulpit. That's kind of an awkward one, and so I don't know. I just go back and forth in my own mind on that. I just appreciate your prayer. Lord knows timing and direction of everything, and we shall see. I appreciate those who are willing to stand in that gap, though, as well, and we'll see how it all goes. Let's get into our study, Proverbs chapter number 6, and a lot of very good wisdom. Go figure, right? We're in Proverbs. But a lot of good insight into how we handle things, how we conduct our day-to-day lives, and sometimes we find ourselves committing to something we shouldn't have committed to. In this particular case, the implication is acting as someone who would guarantee a financial transaction, a guarantor. We call them co-signers, things like that. That's a very dangerous thing to do, and I think you need to be very careful about that. I think this could come out in all sorts of ways, and I think that you just need to be careful. I have been asked, even as a pastor, to bail someone out of jail, and it's just not happening. And so it's a very difficult thing. But hey, here's some realities. Okay, how far out do I put my neck for someone, and to what degree do I commit myself? Well, I think you need to be very careful about committing yourself legally on things. Obviously, I think we need to be careful about committing ourselves and projects we can't do, or we just need to be honest and not overextend ourselves. And so he says, my son, verse 1 of Proverbs 6, my son, if thou be surety for thy friend, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger. So let's understand what is being stated. Here's a potential condition where an individual has chosen to act as a guarantor for his friend. So, in other words, there's some sort of a financial obligation, and this person has stepped up and said, okay, I'll take care of his financial obligation, or I'll be sure it's paid, or if he doesn't pay it, let me know. Okay, so this is the kind of scenario that he's in. If you have stricken thy hand with a stranger, we would understand it today as if you shook hand in an agreement. Now, in this culture, this would be much more legally binding than it is today. I do think we still need to be mindful of our word and our testimony behind that. But the implication would be that here's a person who has agreed to take care of someone else's financial demands. Here's the reality of it, verse 2. Okay, well, regardless of how you feel, okay, this is the reality. Thou art snared with the words of thy mouth, thou art taken with the words of the mouth. You are ensnared by what you have said. You are trapped. Second phrase, you are trapped by what you've said. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I don't like that idea. I don't like the idea of being ensnared by what I said. Now, it might be well intentioned. It might be, oh, that's just for so and so. Oh, we love them. Oh, they fell on such hard times. And the lists go on and on and on and on. Okay. You're trapped by what you just said. You need to understand that. Do this now, my son, and deliver thyself, save thyself. Same words used down in verse 5. When thou art come into the hand of thy friend, when you've come under the power of your friend. Here, the word hand is suggestive of you're under his power, you're under his grip. Deliver thyself when thou art come into the hand of thy friend. Go humble thyself and make sure thy friend. Plead with your friend. Um, may very well be that you're pleading that he pays, that he does what he has said he'll do, because you are the one now stuck if he doesn't. I think that's the implication here of what's going on. Go and beg him to do what he has said to do, because if not, you're on the line for this. Give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thine eyelids. Two phrases saying the same thing. Don't sleep until this has been taken care of. This is a matter of urgency. Deliver thyself. You need to get out of this situation as a roe or as a gazelle, a deer, from the hand of the hunter. Notice that the hunter's italics, it's not there, from the hand, and as a bird from the hand of the fowler. Both the hunter and the fowler are seeking to trap these animals, and you just got trapped by your own words. Nowhere in this text does it say, hey, I was just joking. Nowhere in this text does it suggest that I can abandon what I've said or abandon my word, and now all of a sudden I can just go and do whatever I want to do because, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, you shouldn't have done that, but the reality is you should have thought before you did that, because you should have never put yourself in that situation. Now that you're in that situation, what you need to do is you need to go and plead with your friend that he, I think the implication is, follows through on his word and does what he is supposed to do, because you need to get out of this situation. Now, once you get out of this situation, the implication, they'll never state it, you don't need to ever get back into this situation. The point that I think we need to understand here out of our text this morning is that sometimes our hearts may be well intentioned, and sometimes we may have someone pull on our emotional strings or whatever. And if you are one that's given to that, you probably need to be more careful. If you are cold hearted, then you probably need to be more sensitive. All right. But anyway, when you look at this, we need to be careful about these things. We need to be careful about just extending ourselves out there in a form of commitment and in saying, well, this is, I'll take care of it. All right. If you say that, if you've entered that kind of an agreement, and here in this text, we're into a legal agreement, but I do think we need to be very careful even about just overcommitting ourselves. But you stick yourself out there and now you're in this situation, well, you need to plead that your friend upholds his responsibility, because if not, you're on the hook and you are trapped by your own words. And so don't do this. This isn't wise to do. Uh, it's too risky, and there's nothing that's really good that's going to come out of that. And people get themselves into all sorts of messes, and then typically they'll come uh, pleading for help or a bailout. And that's a hard thing. I'm going to be honest, and I'll close with this. But as a pastor, I deal with this all the time in our area, and it's a hard balance, because uh, sometimes you just have absolutely no sympathy, and you just do a broad brush stroke across the board for everyone. And we need to be careful about that. I think sometimes we can do a little bit maybe more damage than good. Brian, I know you're on here this morning and listening to your testimony here the last couple of days, and you battled that, and there were some, thankfully, that reached out and said, you know what, hey, you can do this, and so forth. It's a difficult balance, and it's one that I just try to handle each case as a case by case scenario. But you need to be very careful that you don't put yourself out there in responsibility to someone who yeah, you may not be able to uphold that. So let's be careful. Let's be wise with how we go about this. Well, I will probably see you in the morning, one way or the other. If I don't, if we reach a point where the live is not going to be, I'll put up a post. That's probably the simplest way for us to do those. we'll throw up a post. Otherwise, I will plan on being here. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you being on here today. I hope you have a great day today. And Lord willing, I will see you back here in the morning. Take care of yourselves. All right. God bless you guys. Thanks.